Hi and welcome back. Before we get into the course content, let's sort out the development environment. The official course keeps its code in Jupyter Notebooks, and to be honest, we can do so much better. We will set up a proper Node.js project. For one, it is much easier to run. More importantly though, your editor gives you full TypeScript support. You can jump to definitions, follow imports, see types in line. It is a much better way to navigate the code and understand what it is actually doing. The first thing you want to do is to clone the repo. You will find the link in the description and then run npm install from the project folder. That will pull down four things: Anthropic's official TypeScript client, .env. This one will load your API key from a local file into the environment, so you don't have to set it up in your terminal every time. The TypeScript compiler itself, used for type checking. TSX lets you run TypeScript files directly, without a separate compilation step. You might know, normally you'd have to compile your TypeScript code to JavaScript before you can run it. TSX skips that step. The conversion happens on the fly, and for exploring an API, this is exactly what you want. With this, we have our Node.js project ready, but we are not done yet. Next, you'll need an API key from Anthropic. The official course has a lesson called Getting an API Key, explaining how to do it. But there is one thing we may need to clarify. Typically, when you use Claude in chats or Claude Code, that is covered by your subscription, free or pro. API access is completely separate. That goes through Anthropic Developer Console at platform.claude.com, which is a separate account with its own billing. Neither your Claude Pro subscription covers API usage, nor your API credit affects your Claude Pro caps. They are completely independent. Before you can make any API calls, you will need some credit, and the minimum payment is $5, but normally that should last you through the entire course comfortably. So head to platform.claude.com, create an account if you haven't already, add some credit and get the API key. Back in our project, you'll find a .env.example file. Copy it to a file .env, that's the file our .env dependency will read, and paste your API key there. The .env file is already in gitignore, so that your API key is not accidentally committed to the repo. With this, SDK will pick up Anthropic API key automatically. You don't need to pass it anywhere in your code. As long as it is in the environment, it just works. To run our lessons, we will use the standard npm run dev command. But this is where our lives are much easier than running scattered blocks in the notebooks. As you can see in package.json, we'll launch a small helper script dev.ts that does all the magic. It prompts you with an interactive lesson picker, and the lesson you edited most recently is already pre-selected. So in most cases, you just need to confirm the selection, hitting the Enter key. Another important file in our setup is lessons shared settings.ts. This is where we configure our API client, and every lesson just imports it from here. If you ever want to swap to a different model, this is the single place to do it. The .env.config call here is what reads your .env file and makes the API key available to the SDK. It only needs to happen once, so having it in the shared settings means lesson files don't have to worry about it. For most of the tasks in the course, the cheapest model like Haiku will do the job. But you might ask, how do we know the model identifier that we put in our settings.ts? And you're right, we don't. By the time you watch this video, the model we use here may be long decommissioned. So let's make a simple exercise out of it. If you check this file, 00 query model list.ts, you will see it is embarrassingly simple. Just 3 lines of code. We import the client, we query Anthropic's API for a list of available models, and print them out. Run it with npm run dev. Select this file from the menu and you should see the list of model identifiers. Now you know what model names you can use in your client settings. But it also shows that you've set up everything correctly. Your API key is valid, your account has credits, and everything works. Alright, we've set up the environment, we've got our API calls working, we are ready to send our first prompt over the API and to check what our requests and responses actually look like. Let's do that in the next video.